Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my family. I greet you depending on your time zone and wherever you are watching me from. How you doing? Wow. There's something that brought me this morning. You see, one thing you must understand is that there is no way you will beat a child and tell that child not to cry. No matter how you tell that child not to cry, no matter how you close that child's mouth, the child must definitely cry. The child must definitely cry. That is exactly what is happening to us as a Biafrans. You know, one thing I have to say concerning this our sister, Uju Anya. I don't know her before now. What made me to know her is because of the tweets that she tweeted that everywhere Gboga. You know, the world powers does not want to know. They don't like the truth. They don't like the truth. And when you say it the way it is, they get offended. Because she said the truth. She tweeted the truth. I know most of you wanted to know everything about the tweet. Go and watch the tweet. Because of our time, you know, I want us to watch the video together where they interviewed her, the way she expressed her pain. And that is what exactly every Biafrans are going through. Because you will not just wake up, no matter, some of us, we are not born before the war, but look at the videos, what we went through, the way we were killed, even when we are Christians. Those that are supposed to come for us, save us, they were not there. And most of us get RIP. And after hearing these things, you will be happy. There is no way. But I must appreciate this our sister, because she's a voice. She's a professor. She spoke her mind with pains. This one is not a story, but first-handed witness of what she went through with her family. You know, so that was what she expressed, and I want to use this opportunity to appreciate her. She's really, really great. She deserves an accolade for speaking out, for using her position to speak out. And I'm encouraging because during or after the war, many people ran away, and some of them ran outside the country. Basically, they are doing well. Some of them are professors. They are really doing well. So I must appreciate her for what she did, for her boldness, for her lioness in speaking out the truth, to join hand with what Nnamdi Kanu was saying, you know, for the Biafrans, what we went through. We went through. During that time, they went through a lot. Can you imagine seeing a family of 7 suffering kwashiorkor, no hope for them? And at the end of the day, the story is still sealed today, and we are crying till today, but they kept deaf ear. So it's terrible. But I don't want to add my own to be so much, so that you can listen to her interview while she was saying what she's saying. And I want you to have patience to listen to her very well. Don't be in a hurry. Just listen. I don't want to be analyzing what she said, but really she made a point, and exactly she spoke our mind. The Biafrans appreciate her. Good conscientious people appreciate her. So I just bring her video of the interview they made. They interviewed her. Just join me. But before I go there, there's somebody that made a comment. I just wrote it down, and I'll put one other comment again. The person said, those of you shouting obedience, did you see why we need Biafra and not to be obedient? Because obedient is the continuation of Nigeria and the black enslavement. Why Biafra and referendum is the freedom and power for the black people, not only in Biafra land, but in the whole wide world. You see, when we are talking about Biafra, we are talking about freedom. We are talking about freedom. When we talk about the continuation of the existence of Nigeria, shows that we are still continuing and validating what the white people call us. But we are carried out by the emotions, our emotions. Oh, let it be, let it be. For me, I love good governance. But if the good governance is not coming, in fact, I don't want to go much. Please just have patience. Take your time and listen to her interview. You will hear exactly what she meant. So that we'll not just be carried out, taken over by our emotions. It's good we face reality. So I just want you to join me to listen to her, so that you get one or two things from the interview. God bless you. So let us join. Remember, this is Eziakwan Family. I'm on YouTube and also on Facebook. Subscribe to me and also follow me, please. Okay, let us watch the video together. Let me on it.
What it says to me is that this tweet has been flagged for being inciting violence and being abusive and targeted harassment. That's what the notification said to me. And then it said that, do you want to delete it? Or do you want to...
There's no way you can forget easily.
And I said, appeal.
Went through.
And I wrote down, my reasons for not wanting to delete it, because I did not agree that I was inciting violence, nor was I engaging in targeted harassment.
Right.
But then while they're processing your appeal, you're locked out of the system. So you can't get on. So, so the aftermath, when black women started to ride for me and start to get attacked themselves, and I didn't see that, because that early I was already out.
Right.
And I was out for almost a week after. So everything I saw happening on Twitter was secondhand through my partner, Dr.
You see, for those of us that are
and she was the one
confused,
saying what was going on.
Why must we be saying Biafra?
At this time, I had already had calls from
you can see how we feel.
Administrators and things like that, saying,
trying to compromise with it. Sometimes they said forgive.
They didn't tell me what the response.
It's easy to say forgive. I'm a Christian. I believe in forgiveness. Forgive and forget.
They've seen it and they're going to respond to it. And I said,
the person that offended you
at that point explained to them.
Not only that the person offended you and refused to apologize and stop
had done
offending you. It's even better you forgive that person.
And what I was than the truth
that person that offended you
and how I was
still doing that thing that offended you,
my pain,
and still doing it and doing it and doing it.
My broader.
How can you just forget? Because if somebody does things today,
to them, and
tomorrow, next tomorrow,
and that was it.
In a month later,
whatever else I heard,
and continue doing it, it will make you to reflect.
I was hearing it on the news along with everybody else, or when I saw the statement being released, etc.
The agony of Biafrans are too much. Our agony.
So I had two more questions, and I want to open it up.
I just pray that God will.
Has this experience changed the way? Because, like you said, you kind of go in, you use Twitter, you kind of almost like prepare. Like you said, to teach when you
some people say that
has this experience changed the way you're looking at engaging in social media, or
should blame our government
to continue to engage in the way you have?
We blame our government,
actually. This my most
because they sold us actually
on social media.
Yeah, I think that's what to
Fundamentally, more than
distract.
I am anything else in this world, more than I am a mother, more than I am a researcher, more than I am a sister, a community member, I am a teacher. And if I'm going to be anything, I'm a teacher.
Right.
And even in that very intense moment of profound pain and my outburst, my emotional outburst of deep, deep pain, I was teaching. I followed up explaining that there was a genocide against the Biafra people.
Right.
The who were trying, the Igbo people who were trying to form an independent nation of Biafra. They wanted to be separate from the country that the British Empire had imposed on us, which was this country of Nigeria, where they kind of took a bunch of independent nations who don't have anything to do with each other, don't even speak each other's language, they don't relate. Many of them were even enemies and warring at the time, smushed them all together and drew these arbitrary lines around them and called them countries and named those countries.
Right.
And then said, now y'all get along and do a country for us and be a union for us. And then go through, contentious, bloody independence processes that never really yield any real independence. You're still part of a commonwealth afterwards.
True.
And you have the eternal meddling in your affairs and the eternal extraction of your resources and the eternal fomenting of divisiveness and infighting in order to be able to control you. This is what an oppressor does, a colonizer does. These are tactics and strategies of dominance.
Right.
We were subjected to that as a larger unit of Nigeria. And then when the Igbo people said, we want our own thing, let's go and do that. Well, it so happened to be that the territory that this new country of Biafra was going to be in included very, very rich oil reserves. And the British were not going to let go of that.
Wow.
And the people that they had put in power, their puppet Nigerian governments weren't going to do that either because they needed it for the Nigerian project.
Right.
And Britain needed it for its own interests and uses. So, Great Britain got directly involved in this civil war and in the war for independence and decided that they would do everything to make sure that Biafra did not go.
Wow.
And this everything meant directly funding
The pain was
genocide
so much.
of the people of Biafra. This is what happened. This is the historical record. I'm not saying anything that's
But I'm
in
proud of her.
doubt or in question.
You must tell your story
Even
yourself.
when it was happening during this
Nobody
period
would tell
of
your story the
1967
way
to
you're supposed to
1970,
say it. Nobody.
the BBC
You tell your
themselves
story the
were
way it
producing
is.
documentaries decrying it,
Because
covering all
leaving
the
it in the
protests
hands
that
of
were
another
happening.
person, you
in
say the way it favors
Great
them.
Britain.
Like, this is recent.
Yeah, this is very
And
recent.
you say the way it is.
My sister, for example, is turning 60 this month. And my sister was alive at that time. She was like 5, 6.
Right.
My other brother was alive at the time, and my second brother was in my mother's belly. She was pregnant during this time. Running from village to village
That is why
to
you will not
escape
blame
the bombs
some of us that
they were throwing
some
at
people that reacted.
villagers. So when we tell you that
We know
3
that
million
definitely
people
someone
have set up to
would
5
die.
million,
Yeah,
6 million.
somebody
Or some people
would
so
definitely end.
So the
end
sort
with
of average agreed
RIP.
upon number,
No matter
we
how
really
long
cannot
you live
contest,
on
is
this
about
earth.
3 million.
But
When you think of a Holocaust,
Right.
this is a Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Now, the Holocaust that we're we're most familiar with, the most famous
Queen
one,
overseas
against the Jewish
saw.
people,
Yes.
was
they
was terrible
6 million of them were massacred.
because she was a
So
mother.
at the most
She's
sort
a
of
mother.
conservative estimation, they did half of us,
Right.
half that number. Civilians, these are non-combatants, and more than 1 million children alone
Yeah.
starved.
Wow.
The British paid for that. And Queen Elizabeth II was ruler. She was monarch at that time. This was the government that she was supervising. Now,
You
I
see
don't
Nnamdi Kanu
buy
cry,
this notion
cry,
that she was
cry.
just a statue,
I
if
was
you
gonna
will,
ask you that question,
or
reading my
a
mind.
decorative plant,
Right.
or some kind of I don't know, tchotchke sitting on the shelf.
Right.
This was a ruler. This was someone, the very crown that she had on her head, signifying the fact that she's a monarch, was made from plunder.
Right.
Diamonds, blood diamonds.
Absolutely.
So the throne that she's sitting on is a throne of blood. So you cannot say that she was just this little old lady or this figurehead that really had nothing to do with anything, and it was just the British government that were making their deals and, governing however they would, without relating it directly to her, because she directly benefited her very position as a monarch. The palace that she lived in, the opulence, the obscene levels of wealth that she enjoyed,
Absolutely.
were all paid for by our blood. And I don't say this figuratively, and I don't say this as something that, this long remote past, let's say, of human enslavement, which on my mother's side, who's from Trinidad, my ancestors over there were enslaved by the British. I'm talking about recent living memory of people still alive today. Her money, her government funded our slaughter. And people expected me to be calm or to be, I don't know what they expected.
Right.
When the person who literally paid money for bombs and guns and military
Absolutely.
supplies to come and massacre your people is dying. You're not supposed to dance? What's the reaction to that?
I remember when we found out that Osama bin Laden was killed, and Americans celebrated, right? Because they held him responsible for 9/11, which just passed, and that terror that occurred, and those 3,000 or so people that died.
Yeah.
And it's like, but when it's our terror, when it's our pain, when it's our loss as black and brown people, and we, particularly when we express it in a way that challenges, white supremacy, the white supremacy dominant narrative, and this, kind of almost like Disneying idea that people had of a queen, then all of a sudden it's like we're always told to be civil, to be calm, to be peaceful as black and brown people. And so, but when it's somebody that you feel harmed America, you can dance, you can celebrate, you can take out your
Absolutely.
flag,
Yeah.
and that's held up. You can have lynchings were celebratory things in the history of the United States of America, where they would have a parade and party and
take children.
Right.
An entire family would go and enjoy the spectacle
100%.
of murdering black people.
100%. So, my last question is, a support petition has been produced.
Yeah.
4,000 or 5,000 people have signed this petition. So when you see that support, just how do you feel in that moment?
It felt so good, right? Especially since I was locked out of Twitter, battling this suspension, and having my account, temporarily suspended. And just seeing the outpouring of support from people who may or may not have agreed with how I expressed my pain, but certainly believed that I had a right to do it.
Absolutely.
In however I did it. And that was so important to me. And it was wonderful to see that, because not only that letter with, 4,000, 5,000 signatures, was
like fellow academics,
of academics,
journalists, students.
exactly, people in this country, in the United States, and around the world. And it wasn't just academics, it was professionals, it was
Right.
community members, students, all sorts of people were there saying, we got your back.
Absolutely.
Now, once again, they were not endorsing what I did or the words that I used, but they were endorsing my right to speak my truth and to speak my pain. and not be terrorized and abused and violently targeted for it when Jeff Bezos put that target on my back. And then, in addition to that letter, there was also a letter from my colleagues at my university, other faculty, staff, other employees, with more than 100 names on that letter as well. And then another letter from students at Carnegie Mellon who filled, last time I looked, like 8 pages of signatures, and not even on a list form, in like block text, one after the other, thick.
Beautiful.
And even on campus, they spray painted on sort of the main quad. There are these, there's this wall, this white wall, where they spray painted R.I.P. colonialism on one side, and on the other side, let her speak. These were Carnegie Mellon students who did that. So when I saw all of that, the outpouring of support from the broader academic community and in general people outside of my institution, along with my colleagues at my institution and the students that I serve at this institution, I cannot, and I'm, a words person. Words are my business. I'm a linguist. I cannot even find
The fly there enjoy has himself.
thankful and
Here
joyful
during summer, the
I-
flies, they will be
in
disturbing.
such days of pain, right? Because I'm a human being. I act tough, right? But you
Maybe,
can only take
Gina.
so much abuse.
No cry. One way we dey cry now, no be small thing.
To get this kind of support, I realize I have people. I have people.
Onye na-aga him back.
That includes us at one hood as well. You got us too. Beautiful, beautiful.
That was deep. That was intense. But I mean, this speaks to the volume about like how these ripples effects are felt across the globe when
100%.
you talk about the monarchy. Like, not everybody is going to react favorably to the crown, and this is a lesson to people. It should be a lesson to people globally that the people of the global majority have been the ones that have been
Let's
forced
not to
into
finish.
subjugation, been the one forced into oppression, been
Right.
the ones who have felt the tyranny of the crown firsthand, right?
And told like to just like suck it up
And just deal with it, right? Because of
be
all-
happy
because
you
we
got
got
something.
the East India Trading Company, right? Because we have a gold standard, because we have English as this lingua franca spoken around the world. Because we have all these things that fall under the umbrella of the crown that quote unquote benefit the world. We're supposed to be quiet and just accept it because they civilize the savage, right? And these are things that we're supposed to be placated with.
And I have to also say that my quarrel is not with the British people.
Right.
The British people are subject to her rule as well.
Absolutely, yeah,
100%.
There is no quarrel with the British people. They are subjects. They don't elect her.
This is something that's extrapolated, right? And I have a lot to say about this. Like, I have so much to say about this. In the West, patriotism equals prejudice, right? You look at what people talk about patriotism is in the States. You wave around the flag. That's a symbol of violence for a lot of people.
100%.
In England, it's no different. In Canada, it's no different. Like, you wave around the Union Jack, you wave around the maple leaf. Indigenous people suffered at the hands of
100%.
erecting that flag on soil.
Absolutely.
Right? The Irish, who are white people,
Yeah.
weren't considered human by the crown, right? And these are things. This is what I'm saying. Like, I have yet to see, and maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. I have yet to see the conversation where people are backlashing and slandering the Irish people for speaking out against the Queen. Has anybody? Has it come up online at all?
I mean, I think I haven't seen it. I mean, I saw like, but I'm not on Irish Twitter. I'm on Black Twitter, so I
Right,
saw
and that's another
the
thing.
response of Black Twitter, and I, just speaking to what you said, I learned a lot. I didn't know like the word loot is an Indian word.
Pajama.
Yeah, that,
Cumberbund, veranda.
yeah, but that like it was like attributed to the fact that they took so many diamonds from India.
They looted.
Right.
Yeah,
And so I think of course I laughed, when you had mentioned what you said about Prince Harry. It reminded me of the tweet that somebody had said about the Queen, like never having to pay rent.
Yeah.
And basically was just like, you're just living off vibes, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they dragged me for calling him jobless.
Right. They said, this was the tweet. Can't stop thinking about how that lady lived nearly 100 years, never had a job, never paid rent, just lived off public dollars, stolen wealth, and vibes. We've never seen anything like her. She just might be the greatest grifting parasite the world has ever seen. And it's like but again, it's like part of what makes social media dope is that people who if there was no social media, all we would see was mainstream media, this kind of celebration of mourning, we wouldn't hear the other side. And somebody like me who knew a little bit, but I didn't know about Biafra. Like, I didn't know about these things. So I have 50 more million questions, but I do want to pass it to Treble and Miracle as well to kind of hop into the conversation.
So I don't have a question, I have more of a statement. And my statement is about how your specific case, especially with Jeff Bezos jumping into the conversation, but not criticizing the Irish celebration of the death of the Queen, goes to show it's like another piece of evidence for the fact that black women are the most disenfranchised people in this country.
Right.
He felt it easier to come at you than it would be to come at the Irish people, literally dancing on social media to the occasion.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's my partner, while all this was happening, she would read tweets to me sometimes or let me know what was going on. Like, I didn't have access to it myself.
Yeah.
But she would kind of narrate things or send me screenshots, etc. And another way in which I knew I had people were Nigerians and African Americans and other Africans and all types of people were waging Twitter wars as well.
Absolutely.
Behind this case.
Yes.
So that, in addition to those letters of support, I also saw real material supports, even my trolls, because I'm always getting into it with, arguing about misogyny, for example, with Nigerian men, and sometimes African American men. You may remember me from the tweet. The misogyny, struggle has made me some firm enemies and trolls, right? And even those joined up to go around to be there as soldiers, if you will, underneath whoever was coming to say. And how did they do it? Not by, abusing, but by facts. They would post links, they would post videos and saying, this is the information you are lacking to understand where she's coming from. And we agree with her because we share this story as well. Alaibo. Alaibo is the name of, it's the Igbo name for our land. Ala meaning our mother's breast, kind of. This is our turf. And Igbo land, came hard because this was our story. And this was our collective pain, and I was talking about it.
Beautiful.
But that was, African Americans as well. Black Twitter for me is not just African Americans. Black Twitter for me is also, just black people in general on Twitter. And so the African American subsection of Black Twitter was also riding hard, taking huge hits as well, especially the outspoken black women, the feminists who came. Right. So I was hearing this, I wasn't seeing it, but hearing it kind of vicariously, and also feeling that there was a lot of support in the letters, but a lot of support sort of on ground as well, where these battles were happening on Twitter, on Facebook, and elsewhere.
I do find it fascinating that you engage, because I don't think people probably just engage you not knowing that you're a professor of like applied linguistics.
But what I wanted to say is, here in Pittsburgh, this was one of the worst cities for Black women to live, and for me, the legacy of the Crown is that anti-Black, they globalized anti-Blackness. So when people talk about like why pick these Black women, it's because the Crown helped through media in their campaigns to say like Black people did not matter, whether it's here in America or in the African continent or in the wider diaspora, is that like Black pain, Black people do not matter.
Absolutely.
And so if you want to build up your brand, you dog out Black people.
That's it. I mean, look at how their media treat Meghan, right? Meghan Markle.
Absolutely.
And the viciousness they reserve for her, and
You see why?
she talks about how the
we'll
fact that
continue
her,
to tell our
heritage and
story.
her appearance as a light-skinned
Nobody
biracial
will tell our
person,
own story.
had
We will continue to
shielded
tell
her
our
from
story,
a lot of this.
and nobody.
But she didn't really hit that.
So you should not blame us. We should not blame, especially those people
Till
that are
she encountered the British.
first-handed story, experience of this story. The Biafran War of 1967 to 1970. You see, you can see our pains, her pains, our pains. So this is where this video is going to end, and I wish you well. See you in my next video. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.